The number one issue that I'm hearing from my CEO clients and from organizations, and also validated by the research we've just conducted, is hiring the best talent. And one of the ways that many people are trying to address this issue of hiring the best talent is by looking for and recruiting something called the T-shaped person. And so before I even tell you what T-shaped person is, I actually want to challenge you to say that T-shaped people, great, but not sufficient. And so I want to propose to you a new concept. You've heard it here first. It's the I-shaped person. And so what is a T-shaped person? What is an I-shaped person? And what does all this mean? And why does it even matter? So a T-shaped person traditionally is described as someone who has a very deep spike. So the vertical element of that T is a spike in a specific area, whether that's in a function like sales, marketing, strategy, finance. It could be in an industry, but it could also be from a design perspective, a specific design expertise, whether it's in graphic design, whether it's in interiors, whether it's in architecture. And what typically our education system is designed to do is to actually create these spikes. So people go in and have a major. The concept of a major is to have a specific functional spike. But what people are starting to realize is, as people become too siloed, is that there's no underlying or integrating philosophy or expertise to be able to connect the dots between all of these various functions. So as organizations realize the need for this, they're starting to say, you know what, we also need someone who's broad. And that's the horizontal bar on the T that says, actually, we need people who not only have a functional spike, but also the ability to say, you know what, I'm going to take the designer, the finance person, the business person in different industries and be able to integrate to create a more holistic solution. And so a lot of design schools and business schools are actually recognizing this trend, and to their credit, in the past 10 years have started to pop up partnerships. So INSEAD, for example, is working with the Art College in Pasadena to do a design management program. And one of my favorite programs is actually an MBA out of Brazil called MBA in Emotional Design. So schools are definitely catching up to the importance of having a multidisciplinary approach to educating. And so I was reflecting on this topic, and a couple of weeks ago I was talking to one of my clients. He's a president of his organization, and he was sharing how it was so hard for him to even find these people, because he said, I need someone who is so expert, has a lot of experience in one area, but that's not enough. I need these people to be able to work with all of the other experts on my team so they can actually co-create. We're talking a lot about innovation and pioneering content, and it's no longer sufficient to just have one expertise. That person needs to be able to speak to and co-create with other people on my team, and it's so hard to find that person. So I looked at him, I said, you're absolutely right. You're describing the T-shaped person, very hard to find. But can I challenge you, because I don't think that's enough. I think that actually, in fact, what may be more important than even that T-shaped person is what I call the base. And that base is what I think actually completes the T and creates an I, and a capital letter I, if you're using like serif base fonts, right? So the I. And I think that base, in fact, can be much more important. And what that base is a core set of values and beliefs that actually drive and create the grounding for that T. I think no matter how strong that T is, if you don't have a base, it can teeter and totter, and it really has nothing to stand on. And so whenever things become difficult in times of crisis, that's when the T can become challenged. And so my challenge to him, and also to you, is to say, actually, how do we create and look for that bottom and that base and that I-shaped person? And I'll just give you 3 ideas of why I think, personally, having an I-shaped person, recruiting that person, but also being that person as a leader is quite critical. I think number 1 reason is that when you have that I-shaped person, you're making sure that there's an alignment of what that person believes in terms of what they're trying to also accomplish. And it creates a bit of meaning and purpose to the work that they do. I think the second reason, which is quite important in organizational context, is it actually defines the rules of engagement. How am I going to interact with you based on what you believe and the way I believe? How are we going to work together? How are we going to take your T and my T and be complementary? And I think the last really is about understanding when things get very difficult. It also helps you to figure out how to make choices, because oftentimes we all want a lot of great things, and there's lots of great strategies out there, but when you don't have a strong base, this could be good one day, that could be good the next. So what is the grounding or the place that you can come back to actually make critical choices? And when you have that strong base, it gives you something to come back to and say, you know what, this is what we believe in, therefore we're going to make this decision and this priority over another. So it creates a central point, if you will, to be able to come back to make that decision. So I tell you all this, and I understand that finding T-shaped people are very hard. It's one of the biggest challenges I face, but I think it's not enough. So who wants to join me in actually accepting the challenge of being, but also looking for I-shaped people?